What's up, everyone? So the other day, I took my time and watched the whole interview between Financial Journey and the CEO of Mullen Automotive, David Michery. And actually, I have to admit that Financial Journey, I haven't really watched much of his videos before. I actually was not a fan because I felt like he spoke a lot of positivity about Mullen Automotive without realizing the harm it could cause many people. And personally, I just don't believe the company is a legitimate company. Besides all of that, I was actually positively surprised as to how well the interview was conducted. I really do think that Financial Journey did a great job asking some pretty good questions. Although I do feel like there were a lot of gaps in this. So in this video, I'm going to go over some of my thoughts and comments on the overall interview. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel. So by far, I think one of the biggest things in that interview that really annoyed me is the fact that, yes, we spoke about the cars that were being sold, the 20 whatever cars, cargo one, whatever, all made in China, shipped here, relabeled as Mullen, and then sold. Okay, not much of a big deal. It's not a big deal. But the fact that nothing was mentioned about the actual cars that Mullen Automotive are designing and building. There was no mention of the Mullen 5. Could you believe it? This is their main vehicle. I don't think in the whole 45-minute interview there was even one mention of the Mullen 5. And this is the primary car. This is the car that they have. And I guess the reason I bring this up is because my biggest issues with Mullen Automotive have nothing to do with their whole arbitrage game that they're running, where they buy cars in China, they sell them over here. I've actually said in most of my previous videos, many of my previous videos, that the only legitimate part of this business that I see is the arbitrage business. Buying cars in China, selling them here. That's working out for them. They could actually be probably profitable doing that. But that is not what the company was built on. The company was built on this crazy proprietary technology, having EV cars selling for cheap, and the Mullen 5 being their primary vehicle, state of the art. And then there's like a Mullen 5 RS version, which is super fast, which we've heard no updates about. In my opinion, I do think that, and their EV battery, man, the EV technology as an engineer, that it can get like 40% or 70% more miles than traditional EV companies, EV car batteries. And it's insane. And the fact that this topic was not touched on at all should be very concerning to everyone. Now, I will say that the whole arbitrage part of their business, even that, I'm not totally comfortable with. I want you guys all to imagine the Mullen Automotive, I don't know, Class 1 cargo vehicle. This is one of their cars they buy from China, relabel them, sell them over here for a profit, hopefully. Now, let's say this car is priced at like, I don't know, $40,000. Don't quote me on the price. I'm just making up a number. Now, if they buy these cars from China, I just want you guys to think about the whole price of this vehicle and the amount of bills they have to pay. So let's say you buy this car in China, right? The company that builds the car in China, obviously, they want some profit as well, right? They're gonna charge Mullen a price where they make a profit as well. So Mullen pays this price, let's just make up a number, it's like 15K. And this 15,000, China's selling us a cheap car, but they also made some money there. Now after that, we have to ship that car from China to America, which by the way, has been pretty expensive lately, especially during COVID. Now the shipping fees, of course, the shipping company has to make a profit, right? So we pay them the money, they make some profit, we get the car to America. Now, the cars in America, they have to be assembled. So now Mullen Automotive has to pay assemblers in America, American wages, to put these Chinese vehicles together and then to make sure they're certified to American specifications, right? So we do that. Now, we need to sell these vehicles. And who's selling these vehicles? That broker named Randy Marion, whatever the whole broker system is. Of course, this Randy Marion company is also gonna take a cut of the profit. This just makes you wonder how much of these sales are actually profit. So many people are getting a cut. Now, David Michery in the interview kept mentioning, "Oh, we're booking 300 grand in our latest earnings, and that's not deniable at all." Blah blah blah. I want to know how much of this 300K is profit, is bottom line profit. That's what I want to know. Now, another thing. So we spoke about how nothing about the MULN 5 was mentioned. Nothing about the battery technology was mentioned. Nothing was mentioned about when these cars are going to be delivered, what progress there is in design. None of that stuff was mentioned. We spoke about how their arbitrage business is probably somewhat successful, but still lacks profitability, or at least major profitability. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up in this interview is that personally, I just felt like David Michery was just spewing a whole bunch of hot air. I watched the interview and I felt like I'm listening to stuff, but nothing is really being said. So David Michery kept saying random things like, "Oh, I just haven't been out interviewing that much because I'm just putting my head down and working and working and working. We're just grinding. We're trying to execute." Execute what exactly? Like, nothing was mentioned. What are you working on? What is the next goal that you guys are working on? What's the progress on anything? Unfortunately, none of this stuff was spoken about. It was a bunch of just words. A word salad. People say he's like a car salesman. I could see that. It was just a bunch of word salad that did not really mean much. And that's why people think that he's a little shady and skeptical. Now, another point that he did bring up in the interview was that how's a company, valued at like a few million when we have like $200 million in cash just sitting there? And well, it happens. And I think a lot of confidence is lost from the CEO. That's why it's happening. Now, there were times where David Michery tried to compare himself to Elon Musk. Oh, sleeping in the factory, doing stuff himself, working all day, 24 hours a day. And if I work all day, everyone else has to work all day. Things like that. I honestly felt like it was just a bunch of hot air, and not much has been said about what is actually doing or what the plan is. And maybe that's just me. And when I was going through the comments of this video, I noticed that, a lot of people were starting to get skeptical of this guy. And then he spoke. And then in the comments, people were like, "Oh, I'm so glad their interview was done. It gives us some peace, some solace, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And this is for the long term." Guys, personally, this is not financial advice. I still think it's very risky. He has not proven anything. One of the things he said that he's proven is that, "Oh, I said I was going to have American workers and Americans are going to get paid and they're going to be doing big things, and I've hired 400 people and no one talks about that." Well, 400 people, unfortunately, is not much compared to the dream that he sold everyone, right? He was going to have this whole extravagant thing. We're designing a brand new concept vehicle and this is it. And, state of the art, we're going to be selling. What he ended up doing is buying cars in China, which he pretty much outsourced to China in a way, if you think about it. And then the only thing that happens in America is they're getting assembled here and then getting sold, again, by a broker. So the only thing, from what I understand, that he's mainly getting done in America that's profitable is getting the cars assembled here. Now, the other thing that David Michery mentioned is that the Bollinger Motors is an excellent purchase. It's a once-in-a-lifetime purchase. And, we got it for pennies to a dollar and blah, blah, blah. Do I think that's an exaggeration? Yes. I've looked into this Bollinger Motors thing. And from what I saw in the past, these were just a bunch of concept vehicles. There wasn't much else being done. Now, from what I understand in his latest press releases, which who knows how true they are, they're starting to continue design, production, all that stuff. Again, I honestly felt like it was all over the place. Overall, with the interview, I personally didn't feel any more satisfied watching the interview. I do give him props for coming on to a YouTube channel and expressing himself and his opinions and what's going on. Although personally, I don't think it really helps. I think it's too little too late. I also think he's getting a little bit desperate because of the stock price, obviously. And I just don't see, I don't see, I mean, I give him credit for interviewing. I just don't see where this company can go. Another question that came up, the NASDAQ delisting. It seems like, oh, we have met all the requirements except for the stock price. Well, the stock price is pretty low. It should be at $1. And I think last I checked, I don't know, it was at like what, 10 cents, 12 cents, something? I don't know. It was very low. And my question is, what's the proposal? I mean, I don't think the stock is going to go up like 1,000%, right? Soon. The only thing that is probably going to happen, there's two things that are going to happen, probably, which I hope it doesn't. There might be another reverse split where the stock gets a reverse split again and it gets to $1. Okay, cool. Or the stock gets delisted. Those are the two things that are probably going to happen. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Overall, again, financial journey, good job with the interview. David Michery, I respect you for interviewing. I think your interview wasn't that good though. And I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.